Welcome to another episode of What Are You 12, the IDYP spin-off series of movies that are 12 years old. Thank you to everyone who's listening. Please like, rate, subscribe, share us with a friend or two. Follow us on social media at IDYP_podcast. With me today are my regular co-host, Emily.
Hello, everyone.
And we have Wesley.
Hi.
Wesley, I was thinking, I'm pretty sure that even in your prime, I could beat you in mixed martial arts.
Whoa.
Now, is that because I was throwing punches before we started recording?
Yeah, 100%. Your punches are shit.
And you know what? That's fair, because I'm not in my prime. And I'll give you that.
Yeah, but even if you were in your prime, I think I could still crush you.
Okay, but here's the thing. I know you couldn't because I've done it, and I've taken down somebody more competitive than you. Being
who's
Ben's
more
brother
competitive than me?
in his prime,
Mm-hmm.
and very drunk.
Yeah.
To the point where he didn't know when to tap, or didn't know that I was tapping.
Oh my god.
But yeah, he also underestimated me, because you see, Emily, the thing is, it's not all about punching and force, and I give it to you that maybe no, I have a strong grapple game, just like one of the brothers.
Yeah, but see, I'm like an alligator, or is it crocodile? I spin.
You have a death spiral.
She latches on and then just spins. Get her in the water, you're
like,
done.
Like a worm or like a flopping fish on the ground, but just like rotating really fast.
I was wondering today, if your life was made into a sports movie, what sport would it be about, and what would the thrilling climax be? And let's start with Emily.
You guys know exactly what I was going to pick. Yeah, of course, I have to pick swimming because that's like my fucking life. I was trying to decide if I wanted to do golf, but there's nothing thrilling about golf movies. Sorry, guys.
Oh. We got some. Okay.
But also, I will say, like, swimming movies aren't well known or beloved. I've never actually seen one except for like Free, which is an anime. But it's also like hard to make thrilling because no one really cares about it except for the Olympics. So yeah, I probably would just do the story of my senior year of college. But I definitely thought of like an opening scene to try to get people involved.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this opening scene of just like super intense cuts and shots of underwater training with this internal monologue, because when I train, going through my head, it's a lot of just like pushing through it and telling myself that I can do it, or oh my god, this hurts so bad, but I have to keep going, tighten up. Just like this constant cuts back and forth, and just seeing a lot of this heavy breathing and gasping in between sets, and getting like splashed and thrown around because of the stupid guys in the next lanes, where you're just getting thrown around when you smack someone's hand and it stings really bad. Like, I can just see this building.
I call that a high five.
Oh man, it hurts so bad. But then right after all of that and just hearing the internal monologue, it would just be cut to me just doing like elementary backstroke and a cool down and doing like some narration of just like general swimming stuff, I guess.
I'm imagining Whiplash, but in a pool.
Yeah, probably.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Good one.
But the climax of the story would probably be me overcoming. I tore my obliques in college my senior year. It hurt like a bitch. They took me in an ambulance because they thought I had a hernia or appendicitis. And it was really terrifying. And then also just making it to nationals that year, I had this rival that I constantly was battling. And she was really, really good, but she was also a bitch. Sorry. She just was not a nice person to other swimmers, especially the ones that were slower than her. But in our last race ever for the breaststroke, I somehow narrowly got in place 16th for finals. And so I was able to swim in lane 8. And in that last race, I beat my rival, actually. So I was like, I would just fucking do that.
Nice. And then you were carried out of the pool on shoulders?
No, I was not.
Okay, damn.
But I definitely looked up at my mom in the stands, and she and I were like, yeah.
All right, there's the freeze frame ending. Perfect.
Fuck off.
If King Neptune didn't lift you out of the pool himself, then yeah, freeze frame on mom.
Okay, Wesley, I'm really curious. What's your sports movie?
Well, I didn't realize it could be about your own life because
It has to be about your own life.
Well, okay, fine, but no, because I don't do sports. I'm not a sports ball guy.
Esports.
I played a lot of sports. My answer is curling.
Yes.
It's of course curling. Now, I agree with Emily that it has a limited audience because it's only popular during the Olympics, but what an opportunity curling has to make
You just
an impact.
offended so many northern Minnesotans.
Well, luckily
All
this isn't
two
a
of them
Minnesota
that listen.
podcast. Sorry, local Minnesotans, but you know that the rest of the world doesn't know about it. It wasn't a slight. So anyway, I didn't realize that it was supposed to be about us. So my climax is going to be when the team is trying to get to the Olympic finals, but they're the lead main captain head guy. You know, everybody knows what that position is called.
Yeah.
The hammer. He's just dashingly handsome and has everything going for him. Great job, great friends. But then he has a liver failure.
Okay, so this is loosely based on a true story.
What are you talking about? And then when he has to, well, see, he woke up one day and he was just yellow. And so he like went into the hospital, and then
Coldplay is playing over that scene where he wakes up.
in his head, similar to Emily's.
Yeah, sure.
It's a hypercut montage of him becoming yellow.
Oh my God.
And then he's in the hospital, and they think they figured it out, but then something happens. And guess what? You'll never guess.
Does his kidney fail?
His kidney fails. Both of them.
Whoa.
What?
He can't pee. He can't pee. And because of the training montage of yellow in the beginning, we know that pee, which is yellow, also plays a key component in curling.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What?
Tune in to find out how.
So the climax of your movie is your leader slowly dying of...
No, he lives. He lives. Sorry. You said climax.
Spoilers.
Okay.
That's
So-
the peak.
Okay.
Okay, Ben. Yours. I'm so curious, Ben. Tell us.
I mean, mine is obviously based on my life. It's got to be. I played 8th grade basketball, and I was on the C team, which means I was third. I came off the bench on the C team, I should say. And my coach called me the microwave because he says, I can put you in and not start you, and you get hot immediately. And goddamn, I had one game, guys, where I came off that bench and I was shooting threes like that autistic kid in the sports video. And that's what my movie would be like. It'd be like that Sports Center clip of the autistic kid from 15 years ago who just shot threes and made them, and everyone cheered for him because that happened. That truly happened to me.
Emily does not find any humor.
That's because Emily doesn't understand the reference point. She has no idea what kid I'm talking about.
It's a heartwarming real life story of
Nothing about Ben's story is heartwarming.
No, but the story he's referencing is.
Oh, okay.
Because there was a high school player with autism that got put in late in a game just to basically participate, and then he ended up just draining threes. Like, it was awesome.
It was a really funny joke for the 5% of people that know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there's a couple people that are still laughing.
And then there's people
there's the
like
rest of
me
us.
that are like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
This week we watched the sports movie Warrior, which is currently at 84% on Rotten Tomatoes. It is the 169th highest rated movie on IMDb.
Nice.
And was nominated for 1 Oscar for Best Supporting Actor.
Nice.
This movie was inexplicably released in the beginning of September, which is typically a dumping ground for movies that studios don't believe in.
What?
Which is one reason it didn't make a lot of money.
Oh, that's really sad to hear that, because this movie really had a lot of things going for it.
I agree.
Wow, that's so
It's ranked
sad.
169.
Brendan, it's me, Pop.
What are you doing here?
Tommy's back.
Did he say if he wants to see me?
I'm proud of you, Tommy. What you did for that kid in the tank.
What was I supposed to do? Let him drown?
Tommy Reardon, you saved my life.
Look, Brendan, the bank has got to go by the new appraisal figures. You're upside down on your mortgage.
How much do you need? I didn't come here for long, Frank. I was hoping that you would train me.
Are you serious?
Directed by Gavin O'Connor, he was most well known for directing the sports movie Miracle about the
Oh
U.S.
my
Olympic hockey team.
gosh. Sorry, keep going. That's insane. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he also made movies called Comfortably Numb, Tumbleweeds, and Pain and Glory.
Okay, I gotta back up real quick, because I kid you not, Miracle and Remember the Titans were the two movies we watched on our coach bus to go to sections for high school, like on a regular basis.
Miracle is a very Minnesota movie. I think a lot of Minnesotans have seen Miracle. Starring in this movie is Tom Hardy, who previously starred in tough guy movies like Black Hawk Down, Layer Cake, Rock and Rolla, Bronson, and 2010's Inception. Also in this movie is Nick Nolte, who received his third Oscar nomination for acting in this movie, having been previously nominated for Prince of Tides and Affliction. He started acting in the late 60s and appeared in tough guy movies like Cape Fear, Blue Chips, Hulk, and Tropic Thunder. Lastly, Joel Edgerton, who previously starred in tough guy movies like the Star Wars prequels, Kinky Boots, and The Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole.
You are so
Fuck you,
funny,
Joel.
Ben.
He was
So
also in
funny.
2010's Animal Kingdom, but that's not a tough guy movie.
Especially because it doesn't last very long.
Spoiler alert to anyone who hasn't seen Animal Kingdom.
Well,
Yeah,
you should have. That
thanks.
was last season.
Yeah, come on, keep up. Emily had not seen this movie before, and neither had Wesley, for that matter, but Emily wrote a plot synopsis for today's...
I mean, it's a general plot synopsis. I didn't spend too much time on it. But this movie, Warrior, kind of sounded like Wario. So I'm deciding that it's an origin story. I decided right before I watched it, this is the origin story of Wario and how he became the arch rival of Mario.
Oh, okay. Which one's Wario, Tom Hardy or Joel Edgerton?
You know, I mean, I didn't think about that because I didn't know either of them were in it. So I guess I'm going to go with Tom Hardy as Wario.
Absolutely Tom Hardy's Wario. But I like to think now that Wario and Mario are brothers, and like this is like when their video game comes to the end and they have to battle, it's really like this movie. Like I think you're closer to being right, Emily, than you thought you were. Wesley, why don't you tell us what this movie was actually about straight from the back of the DVD cover?
An ex-Marine haunted by a tragic past, Tommy Reardon returns home and enlists his father, a recovering alcoholic, and his former coach to train him for an MMA tournament awarding the biggest purse in the history of sports. Tommy's estranged brother Brendan, a former MMA fighter unable to provide for his family as a public school teacher, also enters the competition. Set on a collision course with each other, the two brothers must finally confront the forces that tore them apart, all while waging the most intense winner-take-all battle of their lives.
Two brothers.
Two brothers
It's
enter.
just two brothers.
It is just it's half of the movie Four Brothers.
Oh, okay. Emily, I want to talk to you first about your thoughts on this movie because I have a theory that I want to test by hearing what you think first.
Okay.
So, what'd you think?
Generally?
Yeah, just about this movie.
Oh, I really loved it. I was definitely concerned that it was over 2 hours long. And there were parts of it where, as I was watching it, I definitely felt this, okay, I see where they're going and they're building things up, but also it just kept building intrigue in places I didn't expect.
Mm-hmm.
And so the parallels of going back and forth between the brothers, but also the estrangement from their father definitely added to the drama of it, which definitely made me more invested. But really, it was the fighting that I loved the most. Just watching how it was filmed and seeing the different mixed martial arts that they would use. I really loved that.
So my theory was that this is too much of a guy movie for you to really get into.
Oh, really?
That was my theory.
I would say that it is not a guy movie in terms of that, because there is so much tenderness between men in this movie. It felt very Lord of the Rings to me. Like, yeah, they're fucking hitting each other, but there are moments like between Frankie and Joel Edgerton where they just like have this unspoken feeling between each other, and Patty, the dad, is just like desperate for his sons to forgive him and for their approval, and it is heartbreaking. And you have this principal that's cheering for his teacher, and it's just, it doesn't feel very like quote unquote guy movie. It felt very Lord of the Rings brothers.
I think if I'm interpreting that, there was too much feeling. Even though it was all punch punch hit hit, the story was pure emotion and family, unlike Fast and the Furious.
Or just like it. Wesley, you hadn't seen it. What'd you think?
It's very good. As a movie, it deserves the position, I think, on IMDb. Like, it's good whether you like MMA or not. I like MMA. I thought it was a pretty decent action movie. The story, we can talk about, we will. But yeah, it was good.
Ben, you have seen this movie before?
I saw this movie in theaters because I was working at the theater when it came out, so I saw everything new that came out.
Oh, so you've seen all of movies from 2011?
I've seen most of these movies, yeah. If they had decent size releases in theaters, I saw them. I loved this movie when it came out. It was one of my favorites. I was very upset when it wasn't nominated for Best Picture. I love a lot of what this movie does structurally and the way that it kind of plays with fighting movie expectations. Like, when I think about this one in comparison to The Fighter, I think this one is far superior to The Fighter.
Is that because this didn't have to follow... I mean, this is just speculation, obviously. This didn't have to follow any sort of realism when it came to an actual story, and they could just kind of go with wherever? Or is it because maybe you prefer mixed martial arts as a fighting style?
It could be a little bit of both, in addition to some other stuff. But I want to talk about the first point you made, which is about how it's not real, because I do think that this movie is afforded the ability to throw in twists that otherwise wouldn't be existing in something that's trying to tell a based on a true story. However, I feel the way that they told the story is a very real way. Like, nothing felt like it wasn't, like it was out of place. It did have a bit of a Hollywood feel to the twists and turns, but
he ripped the tank door off.
Right. But I still thought it was a very real and gritty story.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. But it wasn't restricted in a way to fit within the lives of real people.
Yeah. I think the thing, though, that makes it so different from The Fighter is that there's really two protagonists in this movie.
Yeah.
And they kind of are telling parallel stories, and you always know where this is going. Like, the ending fight is not a surprise that they get there. It's like the path to get there is a little bit surprising, but the fact that the two are fighting head to head in this championship, I mean, anyone who's seen a sports movie knows that that's where this was going.
Or the cover.
But the way that the movie does it, where it builds the reason for you to root for each brother, and you understand their motivations, and you understand the tension between them and the family. It's very different from the other fighting movies in that way, where you get the one hero and their path to glory. Like, this is very different from that, because you knew one of them was going to have to lose at the end.
What was Tommy's motivation?
Feeling bad about abandoning his group, and also supporting the woman of his friend that died, or the wife of his friend that died in the war.
Oh, right.
So when they have that big reveal of he's the hero that ripped the tank door off, and then also you find out later that his whole outfit was just destroyed by friendly fire, and he's the only one that survives. And the moment when he calls the widow, I don't remember her name, but that really built the intrigue for me because at that point I didn't really care. I was like, okay, Tommy's a sad boy, but that definitely built the intrigue for me.
So his group in whatever branch of military he was in,
Yeah, Marines.
his Marines got hit by friendly fire, so then he was court-martialed?
No, he abandoned. He what's the word? He deserted after that. Which honestly, I'm sitting there and I'm going, wait, what?
How can
You
he
guys
abandon
didn't just
nobody?
like right? That's what I was thinking.
He's still an on-duty Marine. Like, he has to report back to somebody. And instead, he just
Okay,
left.
so he didn't go back.
Right. That he went AWOL.
Which, in my opinion, like is kind of stupid. not that he abandoned the military and deserted, but like, okay, guys, let's talk about this for a second. Everyone died except for this one person. I think we can let this slide. Like, come on.
But there's protocol with the military you have to go
Who
through to do
fucking
that.
cares? I fucking hate the
military.
military.
The military does, yeah. I do think that this movie still had some of those same tropes that you see in other fighting movies. And I think the biggest one that this movie leans into that caught my eye right away is just the worried wife trope.
Is that a thing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cutting to reaction shots of the wife as the fighters in the ring, or her being worried at home because something's happening. It's not just a fighting movie, but it's sports movies in general usually. Yeah, this is absolutely a trope, and this movie does nothing to try to add anything to that trope. Jennifer Morrison is very underused in this movie.
And I think you saying like didn't add anything to that trope, I think was my biggest criticism of the entire movie is I don't know how much credit to give it as maybe an originator or, you know, something that I've seen a lot of since this came out. And since I'm only seeing it now, I don't know if I'm thinking this is, you know, not pushing the boundaries just because it's already been pushed further. But it didn't feel like it really tried to do anything too crazy other than maybe combining that emotional story with such a physical, but that's not new either, right?
No, that's not really new. I think where it did try to do something new was with the two protagonists idea. Like, you're rooting for
Sure.
two people. You've got one who's the regular underdog story in Brendan, and then you've got one who's more of a powerhouse fighting personal demon story, which is Tommy.
Right.
Right.
So, Ben, you said that Jennifer Morrison was underutilized. How would you have done something different with her character? Because I understand when you're saying like this whole worried wife trope, but my brain also went to, well, dad was worried too. Is that a trope as well? Like the trainer being worried? And also that's just reality, you know, when you see someone getting the shit knocked out of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I don't know. I haven't seen enough fighting movies to notice that as a trope, but still see it as like a reality check.
I would have liked some scenes maybe where Jennifer Morrison talked to another woman. That would have been nice.
Yeah.
Or even in the absence of that, since there were really no other women in this, maybe she has conversations with Frank that could reveal a little bit more about her worry rather than just having worried face the entire movie. So speaking to her worries to Frank a little more.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it's a trope because there is no other way of doing it. Like, maybe that this is just the way it has to be in these movies if you want to maintain the focus on the fighters.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so let's say I'm an MMA fighter and you guys are there cheering for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming because you're my friends, you'd probably be worried if you watch me getting this shit kicked out of me and like my face bleeding and cut.
Well, that's not happening. You can take Wesley.
I'm talking about someone good that could actually kick my ass.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we would be worried, but we also have stories in the background that we live our own lives and we are our own people. We're not just worriers of Emily, which is what Jennifer Morrison is in this movie.
Do you think she could have interacted with her kids in a different way, or would that have solidified the trope even more that she's like the worried wife and mother?
I think anything outside of her being involved in the MMA world doesn't make adding a backstory for her relevant enough to justify adding more screen time.
Yeah, it is a very long movie. So I just don't know how you change that.
You also could have showed, if she's worried about her husband fighting for money, like, maybe we see her trying to find money in other ways too. And that adds to her character.
Speaking of
Ass
that,
to ass.
I didn't know what her job was, and there were many times she was wearing like a going out outfit. So I 100% thought she was like a stripper for her job.
And how did they meet? Like he's a former MMA fighter, and now
I mean, they met in high school. They said that. They were 16 when they met. Because that's when Brendan decided to stay with her and the dad rather than go with mom and Tommy.
it's just the relationship was on paper and not in the movie.
One thing I did really like is that they chose to do the training montage in a little bit different of a way. Another trope in fighting movies is them getting ready for the big fights. And I really liked that they overlaid the training montage with the exposition montage where they're introducing the other fighters like Koba. And that's happening at the same time with the panels that they were did. It was just efficient filmmaking.
You took one of the things I wanted to talk about later, but that's okay. It's fine. Whatever.
Well, we're talking about tropes. I'm sorry.
Is that a trope?
The
Training
montage.
montage?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's got a name. Training montage.
Well, I was specifically going to bring up some of the editing, but one of the things, that scene in particular, the training montage with the interspersed with news stories, I actually hated the beginning of it because I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? But it really won me over, not only because of how it showed those parallels between the two brothers and kind of their experiences, and you could see the improvement, but I like how eventually it slid, and the way that the panels slid showed passing of time in a really clever way, I felt. But not only that, I felt that the music behind it really captured my attention. And so originally I was really taken aback and going, what is happening right now? This is not what I expected. But it grew on me within like 10 to 15 seconds.
It is a stylistic choice that is very different from the movie we'd seen up till then. So I can see why it would be a jarring, and I actually felt the same thing that you did, Emily. I just thought it was really a really well done thing, just like you said. The other thing I want to talk about, and Emily and I are teachers. I want to talk about this teacher suspension that he had, because
Wesley, what did you think about him getting suspended after getting beat up and people seeing him?
I mean, not a whole lot. It was just like, that seems silly, but also I don't care about him being a teacher. I don't know. Maybe because you guys are teachers, anytime you see a teacher doing something else, you're like, yeah, we're multidimensional too. But
what caught my eye is this idea of someone having a side project and then losing their teaching job because they're doing this side project that is maybe not acceptable to others, like MMA fighting or podcasting.
So that I get the leading question now. Okay. I think you can open it up to more than just teachers. You know, does your life affect other parts of your life when it comes to business? And when you're being paid for something, how much do they own of your personal life?
Yeah, and I think it does actually affect more than just teachers, but I think in the media, we see it affecting teachers the most. And also
because they're poor.
Well, yes, but also the fact that the idea parents don't want their children to be around adults that are not appropriate. And so they have opinions and put their opinions on those adults. And so that restricts the teacher's life, where obviously I have a private social media because I don't want students on there. Not that I post anything like ridiculous, but there are influencers out there that students see on a regular basis that are practically naked or doing pot illegally or whatever. I know, shocking, right? Our kids in our classes like see all of this shit, but the parents are like, we don't care about that. But it's when the teachers do those kinds of things that is a problem, and it fucking drives me nuts. And so that was the part where I'm sitting there going, wait, you're gonna control what he's doing. It just felt very small town to me, even though they were in Philadelphia. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
Philadelphia is kind of like the biggest small town.
Oh, I just assumed it was big. Just
Oh, no, it's huge population-wise. Based on anything you would consider a big city, it is. I'm just saying it's like that feeling that Iowa or Wisconsin is, maybe a couple years behind on things. Like Philadelphia is just like inclusive,
A fair point.
exclusive.
But he's also a public school teacher. And to me, this seems very like private school sort of handling. Yes. It does not seem like Ben and I work for a very large public school system. We know how things work. Like people aren't going to fucking know about this. This just seemed like all of the people in this small little community know what's happening. And I'm like, no, that's not, no. I mean, he would show up with his cuts on his face and everyone would be like concerned about him, but they wouldn't know how the fuck that happened.
I had to pause the movie to look up if Pennsylvania had a teachers union.
Do they?
They definitely do, which means him being suspended without pay would never have happened.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Because I thought, maybe it's a right to work state like Wisconsin.
It's not.
But it is not. They definitely have a union. That guy's being suspended with pay, if anything.
Mm-hmm. Then he could just keep on.
He could do both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like us. That's what we're hoping for, right? Suspended with pay, Emily. That's what we want.
Suspended with pay so we could do full-time podcasting.
Yeah.
Woo!
The world's not ready.
I have a quick question before we keep going, because this is part of the plot that I was struggling with. What would filing for bankruptcy do, and why was Joel Edgerton so against it? Because I literally don't understand.
That drove me crazy. That's not how I do things. Like, bro.
I mean, filing for bankruptcy wipes out your debts, essentially. But it would mean he loses his house. Because any assets he had, he would have to basically give up. You basically start over financially. That's what bankruptcy is.
And then everything gets garnished for a while, and you have to like check in financially and all that stuff. But it's, in my opinion, way better than training for half a year to potentially die beating my estranged brother.
But also getting $5 million.
How likely does he really think he is to win? Like, that's my point, is like, there's one thing to be confident, but like he's now a teacher that's going back against these guys who they tout as like the best ever. It's crazy. He's never been here.
You know what? I have a theory. Teachers handle so much when it comes to getting beaten down emotionally by our students and parents that's what Brendan was thinking. That he's like, I can handle all this emotional shit. I've got a thick skin, and so I should be able to handle the physical beatdowns all the time. And that's how he ends up fucking winning. He just gets completely bludgered over and over again, and he can handle it.
I think I now realize why you think that you could take me in MMA. you are connecting some teacher qualities to physical violence that I'm not sure you got a real basis for.
I think Brendan is that Homer Simpson, or that Simpsons episode where Homer just consistently gets beat until the guy gets so tired that he falls over.
It really was. When it got to that final fight, I was like, oh, so we're about to watch 10 minutes of an immovable object try to beat an unstoppable force. Classic trope.
Wesley, we're throwing it to you. What's the hill you're going to die on this week?
Guess this is the hill I will die on.
The emotional climax of this movie didn't deserve the amount of time and reverence that it got.
What?
Nothing happened for a solid 5 minutes where we just watched two sweaty dudes kind of hang on each other, and a retired mall Santa seemed, satisfied and kind of walked away while they gave each other sweaty hugs.
What would you have preferred their reconciliation to look like?
Shorter. Nothing happened. He got tapped out, and then, I don't know, words. I know that whole point of this is kind of that they can't use words. That
correct. Yep.
But it didn't help. Like, the reason things are longer is because it takes an explanation. If it's wordless and they did it with their emotion, that was during the fight. There's no resolution after that. We don't need that long to know, okay, yes, we love each other.
So I actually know the reason to why that scene is so long. And it's because they wrote the ending to this movie to that song specifically to hit certain beats in the song with what's happening on screen. So in order to play the full song at the end, they had to fill in with the stuff that you didn't like.
Count it. I'm taking that as a win. They literally stretched that shit for no reason other than to be a certain length.
I loved it.
That's fine.
I loved it so much.
This hill that I'm dying on isn't saying
that's
that
fine.
everybody
You can
should
die on
dislike
that
it.
hill, and I'm happy for you to die on that hill.
Oh,
I loved it, and especially how they used the music. And maybe that's why I felt like it was very Lord of the Rings, brothers kiss on the forehead sort of feeling.
what brothers are there in Lord of the Rings that kiss each other on the
They're
head?
not actual brothers, you fucker. It's like you and Ben aren't brothers, but you would kiss each other on the forehead anytime because you love each other that deeply.
Which forehead?
That joke doesn't work, but I still laughed.
Let's get critical about this movie. And I want to start because we need to talk about Moby Dick.
We do.
Sure.
What was the point of that?
So I have not read Moby Dick, and I don't actually really understand much about the themes besides like the obsession theme. And so to me, I felt like the small moments that their father, Patty, was experiencing, like they were showing flashes of his space where he had a lot of these classic literature, you know, at Steinbeck and obviously Moby Dick in his house, and he had the Bible, and he had like just like transformation of his life. To me, I felt like Patty's obsession with his wrongdoing and with his alcoholism and with his sons, like just the mistakes that he had, I felt like it added this depth to his character, especially when we reached that really pivotal moment where he has fallen off the wagon and he is drunk, and Tommy essentially rocks him to sleep to try to support him and has this forgiving moment. And so to me, it really comes down to the themes around obsession. So I don't know if it was actually that great, but I felt like it still gave some more, I guess, agency to his character.
I think something that little and powerful, because the acting when he falls off the wagon is intense, and like that's more of what Nick Nolte is in there for, is that extreme distress and rock bottom. Dude looks like he's been at rock bottom for 30 decades. Was this before or
Did
after?
you say 30 decades?
300 years of rock bottom.
We're talking Lord of the Rings, right? He's definitely a mountain troll.
Fucking love it.
When this is way after the infamous mugshot, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think having that strong of a moment would have been something that they could have done for Tess. Having her have just like some emotional breakdown or scene, even if it was just like that 2 minutes, I think that could have maybe filled that void in the concerned wife role to make it more interesting.
Emily, I like what you said about the obsession piece, because I think obsession and addiction are very closely tied together.
Right.
And I think that's the piece too, where he sees a bit of himself in Ahab, and that's why he has that emotional breakdown where he's telling him to like turn back, like you're killing everybody. And it's him like thinking back to how he kind of broke up his family by being addicted. So it's definitely theme related. It's just they call back to Moby Dick a lot, and it was just a little weird to see.
Oh, okay.
Fish out of water.
I want to call out the cinematography for the fight scenes in this movie. And again, I have not seen many fighting movies besides The Fighter. I think that's the only one I've seen now. But right in the beginning, we get that party scene where it's Brendan's daughter's birthday. And it has like this similarity of action where things are framed by characters you can't fully see. And I feel like that just takes that pattern and just continues throughout every fight. when you get that one guy in the gym filming Tommy and Mad Dog's first fight. Again, same thing. It's framed in a way where there are gym members in the way, but in between you can get the glimpses of what's happening. And I think that goes to show, as we are seeing the fights later on at the end of the movie, same kind of framing is happening because people's body parts are in the way. And so you can't actually see all of it, but it frames it very nicely. And so I really liked that. And maybe I'm reading into it more, but it felt very consistent in action-y moments of the movie.
Do you think that was because it's just how the director shoots it, or it's specific to this movie?
Well, and part of it was I wanted to call out the fight scenes and cinematography in general. Like I feel like there was definitely a through line and there was a reason for it, but it was cool to kind of see that trend throughout every action-y kind of scene.
I think the way that the fight scenes are filmed ties into the realism of the entire movie and the look of it. I like that for most of the fight scenes, it's filmed from outside the cage. So you've got like the blurry lines obscuring things and making it a little hard to see. I also think that the things being in the way of the frame also plays into how we aren't really given access to these characters' emotions. We understand where they're going and their desires, but we don't fully understand them. So we're kind of at a distance to that. And then when it comes to the last fight, we're brought into the ring with them and we're able to feel that emotional catharsis that they experience. Like it's a way to keep us back in the beginning and then allow us in at the end to feel that bond that they reform.
You just came up with that shit. Nice job, Ben.
Absolutely, I did.
You think then you could almost assume or associate the camera lens in the first half of the movie before that final fight as the other brother?
As in a third brother?
The third brother who doesn't like violence?
Yeah, not Ben. No, I just mean like, you know, if we're outside the ring and Tommy's fighting in the ring, is that maybe kind of more hinting towards this is what Brendan is seeing and vice versa? That's why when you're in the ring together, it's in the ring with them.
I mean, you could probably make that argument.
I think I just did.
Yeah.
I think I like Ben's theory more, but I can get on board with it.
No, his is just an extension of mine. Just making it character specific rather than a general audience.
Yeah, mine's just a little bigger than Ben's.
Jesus.
Prove it. Oh God, no.
Why would you do that? Moby Dick?
Call me Ishmael.
Let's talk about the performances, because Wesley, you talked about Nick Nolte's performance in that scene. I thought the acting in this movie all around was just very well done. And while Nick Nolte's kind of outburst scene is probably the Oscar moment acting, I actually really appreciated a lot more of his more subtle scenes.
Stoic, I would say.
Yeah. The one I'm thinking of is the one where he's talking to Brendan outside of Brendan's house.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like trying to reconnect with Brendan, and
he sees his granddaughters. Oh my God, that was hard.
Oh, and then the line that Brendan says as he walks back in, where they're like, "Who's that?" And he's like, "Just a nice old man." It's like, oh my God, you're killing me.
So hard. Words.
Yes, I totally agree. I think the acting for everybody was on point. There wasn't a bad one in here. Even the promoters and other fighters, like they didn't have to do much, which was perfect. But absolutely, for me, Tommy was the best. I think he had the most that would come closest to that Nick Nolte breakdown part. Tommy's, I think, got second, third, fourth, and fifth in the movie for scenes that are that powerful. And then Joel Edgerton. So
I find that Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton both just had such different characters, but both of their approaches to their characters were just electrifyingly perfect. And so there were many moments where I just was typing some various comments, and most of them were about how much I love Joel Edgerton and how much I loved how there was just this sweetness and tenderness. And maybe that's because I am drawn to the underdog. But of course, there are these moments where Tommy is just so closed off. And he really does such a great job of that. There's this one moment where, you know, you see when Tommy has his fists up prior to fighting compared to when he has one fist up and his other shoulder is dislocated, and just the expression on his face is so fucking wonderful. I that scene really hit me, just comparing for every time he was ready and he had kind of this wider stance versus seeing Brendan in the ring and he had kind of a tighter stance. Just seeing those differences, they were so subtle, but they both, I can't separate the two of them when it comes to acting. They just embodied their characters so well.
Tommy has that performance of him where it looks like he has the dislocated shoulder, like just from a physical body performance, to be able to contort your body to make it look like it's at, like, looking at the way his arm looked, I actually thought it was dislocated because of the way he was holding it and carrying it. Just great physical acting.
Yeah, and I think part of this is similar to me saying that, you know, how was this inventive at the time, knowing how it's advanced since then. I think that Tom Hardy's acting, I've been a big fan of his, especially since this. So seeing him in other things, just acting so well, it's just like, yeah, this is just another one. So I think that's why it resounded.
How did the brothers just stumble upon each other on the beach? Like,
is that something you're really upset about?
This is something, I mean, it bothered me. And I want to say this first because I really liked the slow rollout of information that builds the stakes to the fight. Like, they drop us into scenes, but they don't explain the relationships of who's in the scene. And it's slowly revealed through dialogues. I'm thinking mainly of the one where Brendan goes and talks to Frank, the trainer. Like, we have kind of an idea, but we really built a fuller picture of their past relationship and what that was like. There's none of those like previous scenes where Brendan says to his wife, like, I'm going to go see Frank, my former trainer. And lesser movies do stuff like that where they telegraph what the next scene is. One place where I would have liked a little more telegraphing is that brothers on the beach scene, because did they text each other about wanting to meet up? Like, this beach is completely abandoned and they're far away from the hotel. So, like, did they plan to meet there, or was it just literally they happened to meet each other?
I am a bit of a romantic when it comes to those sorts of things, and I really think it was serendipitous. I feel like it was not something that they planned. I feel it was one of those magical Hollywood moments where it just timed out right. And I was happy to accept that, especially because at that point you hadn't seen the similarities between them other than their hatred for their father and how they had suffered. And even like their training is different and their characters are a little bit different. But this is kind of that moment of, no, they both came to this beach for something, whether it was peace or just being away from everything else. And I just really felt like that was the moment where I felt like they were really, truly brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I think, to combine both of your problems and answers here, I think that the movie magic was simply the location. Because I think that the serendipity and the emotion and the meaning behind that scene, Emily is completely right on. And I think Ben's took me right out of it moment is strictly for movie, because this scene could have happened in the hallway at a hotel.
Yeah.
But they just happened to place it on a beach.
I also like that the literally the halfway point of the movie is when they meet. And before that, they don't speak to each other. Like, I thought that was really cool. Like, okay, we're now entering the second half of the movie where it's going to be about the reconciliation piece. Wesley, did you like the credits?
No.
Oh.
There was just nothing. It was nothing. What did I give the last movie? I meant to ask or figure it out, but
you said it was like a C something because it was like the benchmark baseline that we had.
I would give this a C-.
Okay.
That's how we're doing the grading. I forgot.
There's nothing offensive though.
No, it's literally just credits.
And why don't we go to you first to give your final thoughts on this movie?
I think I've laid it out pretty clearly. It wasn't it didn't feel like a 2-hour movie. It went pretty quickly. It had good action. The story was definitely there if that's what you're looking for. The action was there if that's what you're looking for. If you don't like your peanut butter with your chocolate or your chocolate with your peanut butter, it might not be for you, because they do try to combine a few things that don't necessarily usually go together or make this movie stronger for those people that are looking for just one or the other.
The only reason anyone wouldn't want chocolate and peanut butter together is if they're allergic to one of them. Anyway, I said this already. I really, really like this movie, and I think I do have to watch just more fighting movies. I think that with my background, I have a slight background in karate, but it's more my dad's love of fighting because he is a black belt in karate and taught for many, many years. This is a movie I would want to watch with my dad.
Yeah.
And I can tell that he and I are both saps, and this is something we would just cry through most of the time and really enjoy the fight scenes and the emotional stakes within it. So, Dad, I know you're probably not listening to this one because you're doing other things, but this is a movie I want to watch. Ben?
I really like this movie. I appreciate how well structured it is and the way that it builds to the emotional climax. I like all of the fight scenes. Each fight scene's told a unique story about the characters and the way that they were stacked on. Tommy's dominance versus Brendan's scrappiness. I really appreciated the way that story was told. Strong filmmaking from a guy who has not gotten a lot of opportunities after this, and I'm not exactly sure why, because I would like to see more movies from Gavin. So, Gavin, if you're out there, keep plugging, because this is really impressive.
Make my swimming movie.
Yeah, make my basketball movie.
What's your favorite idea? Mine is being creative.
How do you get the idea?
I just try to think creatively.
Here we go. Number 1. Who or what would you fight for if you were in this MMA tournament? You know, we've got dead best friend's wife and kids. We've got save your family home / pay for medical bills for your daughter's heart surgery. You could go unlimited candy. What are you fighting for?
What's in my purse? Is that what you're asking?
No, I said, who or what are you going to fight for?
I think Wesley was right. I'm in it for the biggest purse in sports history. I want a giant fucking purse. I want to be able to carry shit wherever I want to go, everything. If it's a magical purse like they have in Harry Potter, that kind of like a purse of holding. Yeah, give me a magical purse of holding as the biggest purse in sports history. That's what I'm willing to fight for.
Boy, I'm really trying to not lean into the organ donation at this point. No, not funny anymore.
My first instinct was police reform, and I pocketed that because I didn't think that was funny either.
I would fight for the right to party.
Yes, he did it.
Bow now, now.
I don't get the reference.
You don't know the song?
Gotta fight.
Oh, that song. Yeah, I know that song. Okay, cool. Number 2. What classical music are you walking into for your fight?
Flight of the Bumblebee.
Oh!
End of story.
That sounds intense, actually. And you would dance just like that.
Oh, yeah.
Anyone who knows me knows I'm all about Debussy. So I'd go with Claire de Lune.
Oh my God.
Did you say Debussy?
Yeah, he did. Okay. Last one. You killed Wesley. Last one, number 3. Wesley, I already know what your signature mixed martial arts move is. Grappling, right? You're a grappling guy. But I gotta know, what's your signature mixed martial arts move? I also need a name for this move.
Mine's gonna be the rusty trombone.
Because of Flight of the Bumblebee?
Can you describe how this works? Like, what? How you're fighting Ben? What does the rusty trombone do?
It's very distracting. I would say it immobilizes, which is very key to winning a fight because I don't need Ben wriggling around. It gives me a good place for control, and then I got the in and out.
I literally don't know what you're talking about.
Just don't look it up.
Okay. Ben.
We'll call mine the trumpeter swan. And it's where I kind of get them like a double chicken wing. But then I force their shoulders down to make it look like they got a really long neck. So it really hurts in the neck area as I force their shoulders down by pulling on their wings. Pretty good, right?
That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah. The rusty trumpeter swan.
The rusty trumpeter.
Now let's all agree to never be creative again.
My game today is called Brothers Shouldn't Fight. I'm going to give you 5 sets of actors who have played brothers in a movie, and I want you to tell me who you think would win in an MMA fight. I'm putting no limits on this fight. Make your argument. I'm going to give each of you one of the brothers, and you need to make an argument for why that brother would win in a fight versus the other brother. The first movie we're doing is Logan Lucky. Emily, your brother is Adam Driver.
No.
Wesley, your brother is Channing Tatum. Explain to me how Adam Driver or Channing Tatum wins in this fight.
Out of the gate, I got the ability of the agility and the hips that do the dips. So you're going to have some trouble tapping out Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. But
Oh, so I won.
Adam Driver's character is all about the chaos. And so he's going to hit you before you tap out. He will hit you hard and fast and chaotic.
Yeah, but then after you lose all your energy from just being a spaz and wearing heavy boots and throwing fits about your job not going very well, he's gonna Adam pile driver your ass.
No, that's my move.
No, you didn't claim it.
No, Wesley, seriously though, Adam Driver's character in this movie, the amount of ridiculous chaos that is going to happen, there's no way that Channing Tatum would even last long enough to endure
Channing
anything.
Tatum will literally make it through the apocalypse by any means necessary.
Adam Driver plays someone with the force.
A whiny little nephew force.
Okay, I'm gonna call a fight there.
Channing Tatum dances.
Cheap shot. Cheap shot.
Yeah, that's a cheap shot. You get 10 seconds to recover.
I didn't say it was a bad thing.
I appreciate you guys venturing into their filmographies at the end, because that's definitely why I envisioned when I wrote these. But Wesley's going to get that first one for hips with the dips, which...
If it comes
can't
down
argue with
to
that.
clever responses, you know Wesley's going to fucking win. I'm not fucking clever.
No, you got this. You got some of these. I know you do.
You're clever.
No, I don't.
Next battle,
I've
Step
seen
Brothers.
Logan Lucky once. I
I've never
haven't
seen
seen
it.
fucking Step Brothers. How am I going to win this?
Focus on you brought in Adam Driver having the force. Think about other movies they're in.
Oh my God. I don't know who's who though.
Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly.
Emily, you get Will Ferrell. Wesley, you get John C. Reilly.
Will Ferrell's wife is so hot that he's going to use all of the burns that he does to his wife to John C. Reilly to crush him.
John C. Reilly doesn't... You can't hurt John C. Reilly's feelings by making a joke. Have you seen him?
Have you seen Wreck-It Ralph? His
Brule.
feelings are hurt
He's
the whole
Dr.
time.
Steve Brule. Bro, you ain't gonna hurt John C. Reilly's feelings. And after that, he's gonna sing you the sweet, sweet song.
The size of John C. Reilly as Wreck-It Ralph is so big, but he
Fine, you
is
can
so
pick Wreck-It Ralph.
emotionally
I'm not.
devastated by a tiny little girl who's badass.
You're talking about Vanellope, who's a glitch, which he should be respectful of. And Mr. Cellophane is it's gonna be his walk-up music, and you're just gonna feel so much empathy and compassion for him that you're gonna be like, oh.
Are you sticking with the Dewey story? I can't fucking remember what.
I'm going to call it. He went Chicago.
I went musical.
Yep. I'm going to give that one to Wesley, too. Emily, I think you got to come back in. We all love an underdog story.
Do you understand that? I do not work well under pressure when it comes to movies because I don't fucking get references.
You're doing really good. That last one was really good.
Yeah, come on. Next movie is What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Emily, you have Johnny Depp. Wesley, you have Leonardo DiCaprio.
Johnny Depp has the best sword fighting skills ever. He's just gonna stab Leonardo DiCaprio while he's drowning in the Atlantic Ocean.
So he's not even gonna let the drowning happen. He's gonna stab him while he's drowning.
While he's on his own ship too.
But Leo has spent a lot of time in the water, so he's grown, he's learned, he's adapted. He's not gonna drown. And a little stab.
Johnny Depp also can use his his pistols from Rango and just shoot him.
Well, luckily for Leonardo DiCaprio, he's still got the pussy posse, and they take bullets.
I don't know what that is.
It's his little group of friends.
Okay, I'm calling it. Emily, you got that one.
Yeah, I had nothing with Leo. Leo doesn't really have a good history of fighters.
Okay, next movie is Twins. Emily, you get Arnold Schwarzenegger. Wesley, you get Danny DeVito.
I don't think Arnold Schwarzenegger can beat Danny DeVito in a battle of wits right now.
Well, luckily they're fighting.
No, I know, but Wesley, I'm not going to concede this, but I feel like he's going to crush me right now. Even though Arnold Schwarzenegger would literally crush Danny DeVito with his thighs.
I mean, all I've got is Frank crawling out of Arnold Schwarzenegger's leather.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's fine. He's gonna go commando.
Oh, ooh!
Because I love that movie.
Conan the
Barbarian. He's just gonna cut Danny DeVito's head off. This just doesn't feel fair.
All I can think of is It's Always Sunny. What the fuck else is DeVito been in? He's just
Matilda.
Short. He's gonna stick Rhea Perlman on him.
Oh, good one.
They'll wear a big trench coat and do the two people on the shoulders so that they can intimidate. Can you imagine Danny DeVito at like 6 feet high?
They're gonna do Muppet Man.
You're gonna Muppet Man Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's fine. Arnold Schwarzenegger is gonna call on the Predator to help out because he already defeated the Predator.
Wow, this turned into a tag bout.
Yeah, this is a Pokemon battle.
I'm going to give this one to Emily just because I don't think Wesley came up with any sort of strategy for how Danny's going to take down the tower of a man that is
strategy, but it's just not going to work because
he's going to slide out of a couch. There are no couches in an MMA
he's
fight.
He's going to slide out of Arnold Schwarzenegger because he's slippery. Like, oh, whatever, it's fine.
I did too, and then you said he went commando, and you completely nullified my argument.
She meant the movie Commando, not.
But I also enjoyed the naked. I also enjoyed the naked Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, that was a pleasant side thought.
Last one. The movie's called Brothers. Emily, you've got Tobey Maguire.
Oh my God.
Wesley, you've got Jake Gyllenhaal.
I literally don't know what Tobey Maguire is in besides Spider-Man.
Well, luckily that's a
really
pretty
all
good
you
one.
need.
Okay, well, he's gonna be evil Spider-Man Venom and won't have any sort of emotional connection to. Wait, who does Wesley have? I didn't.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
He's gonna have no emotional cares whatsoever. Also, Jake Gyllenhaal gets smushed in Donnie Darko, so who cares?
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does.
That's how the movie
not on
ends.
camera. But who cares? Because Jake Gyllenhaal has got the bubble, and it's going to tell him exactly where he needs to go to duke and dive and dip and dodge to get out of the way. And then the best part is he'll just turn your head into pink mist, and he'll take all of that pent up jarhead energy and fight the party all the way to the end.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say Spider-Man could like rip your bubble apart, but you crushed me.
I thought you might make the connection of Spider-Man to Mysterio.
I literally would have thought of it only because you brought it up. I've seen that movie once, I think.
Well, Wesley wins that bout 3-2. Thank you to everyone for listening. Please like, rate, subscribe, share us with a friend or two. You can follow us on social media at IDYP_podcast on Twitter and Instagram, or you can email us at idrinkyourpodcast@gmail.com. Emily, as the loser today, you need to end the episode by saying, brothers don't shake hands. Brothers gotta hug.
Don't know what this is referencing, but I'm assuming it's Step Brothers, right?
No, it's a movie you've seen. Tommy Boy.
Brothers don't shake hands. Brothers gotta hug. Fuck you guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.